what would you say to that person who's like, yeah, Diego, but it's just not my fault. Like, it really isn't my fault. Like, these things happen, like these circumstances, like, I don't know, the government changed the rules and like now my business doesn't work, or the laws changed, or this changed. I mean, how am I supposed to take responsibility for 100% of things that aren't my fault, that I literally had nothing to do with? How would you coach somebody on that thought process? Because you get that a lot. It's easy to blame. It's easy to point fingers.
Yeah. The main thing is when you are looking for solutions, right? When you are, yes, sure, it is not your fault, right? But imagine this. I bet you, and there's this story, right? That there was this kid, and there's two set of twins, and they had a bad childhood, and one ends up in jail, and the other one's super successful, right? And he doesn't drink. One is in jail, does drugs, drinks, alcoholic, and everything. When you ask them, hey, why are you here? Like, why are you in jail? And he's like, oh, because my dad was an alcoholic, and that's why I do drugs, and that's why I'm an alcoholic. That's why I'm in jail. I got with the wrong people, and that's why I'm here, right? And then you ask the other twin and say, hey, how are you so like why are you so successful? And they're like, well, my dad was an alcoholic, and I didn't want to be like that, right? So it's up to you to decide. Sure, you had the same circumstances, but it's up to you to decide your future, what you don't want and what you do want, and then the standards that you set for yourself, the habits that you're building. So, sure, it's not your fault, right? But if you ask yourself the right questions, then I feel like you can take more the empowered mentality and look for solutions. When you're beginning to look for solutions, my suggestion is to connect with people that have already achieved what you want to achieve, because success leaves clues. So the goal is to shorten that gap, and that is what happened to me. And one of the things people, and for the people that are hearing the podcast, say, oh, Diego, you have 62 doors, awesome, millionaire, cool, right? But that they don't know is that I'm undocumented. I don't have a green card. I don't have citizenship. I am a DACA recipient. I am a dreamer,
I
right?
get goosebumps when you tell this part of the story, man. Because like
Yeah. So
it's easy for people to say, "Well, yeah, easy for you, multimillionaire, to say don't blame your circumstances." But then when they hear this part, and I want you to keep going, but when they hear
yeah,
this part, it's like, "Oh
yeah,
shoot, I really don't have anything to
exactly,
blame."
exactly, dude. Like, let me share this in a super glimpse, in a super quick way. I came here from Lima, Peru, with my parents when I was 9. We came with a visa. I didn't know that we were going to be undocumented. It didn't hit me until I turned 15 years old, when it was my turn to get my driver's license. At that point, I go to the DNV. They tell me, hey, with these documents, you cannot drive. I mean, you cannot get your license. I'm like, okay, my life is definitely going to be different than my friends. It's okay. I'm going to put all my emphasis into school. Graduate 30 in my high school class. I thought that this was going to be the best, like the thing for me to achieve the American dream, go to school, all of that stuff. And now I found out that I cannot get student loans or financial aid, right? After all of that stuff, I got into Florida State University. I had enough money to pay for college for 1 year, figure out that I got an internship working for free. There, they tell me, Diego, you've done better work as a freshman. There was some seniors doing a year. You've done it in 6 months. We want to hire you. I'm like, great. I go through the hiring process. They say, Diego, everything is looking good. Just need your work permit. I call my mom. She's like, Diego, we don't have that. So now I'm 19 years old. I cannot drive. I cannot work. I can't get student loans or financial aid. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Right? Like, you can say, why me? Right? But I remember what my dad told me, that the US is the land of opportunity, but it is up to us to find it. And my parents always told me, look, Diego, based on our situation, we can achieve what we want. We just have to work a little bit harder. That's it. You have to work a little bit harder. And that is the work ethic that they input on me and in my brother. Um, and so I began looking for solutions, right? One of the key things is resourcefulness. That is, I would guess, one of my superpowers is resourcefulness. And so what happens? I Begin looking online. I'm like, there has to be a way that I can get paid. I found out that even though I'm undocumented, I can get paid as a contractor. So I create my own company in order for me to do that. Right. And then I can say, hey, I need to set up appointments, but it's too far to drive. This is pre Uber, pre Lyft in 2010, 2011. And dude, I had to ride my bike. That's my mode of transportation. So riding my bike to and from work, like, but I was able to get paid through my company, and with a suit in my backpack, drying off, and like before going into the meetings and everything. But I had to do what I had to do to achieve my dreams. And too many people will say, "Oh my gosh, this is unfair." Sure, it's unfair, but if you're committed to your goals, you'll do what it takes to get there. And a lot of people are not willing to do that, right? So it wasn't until I turned 22 years old that I could work or drive. Like imagine that at 22 years old, I couldn't work or drive. 23, bought my first home. Then I meet the GoBundance guys, and I can share that story later. By 26, 27, financially free, and 29, a millionaire. And it's only because of the fact that I decided that my circumstances didn't determine my future, because I did it all through um, not being even supposed to be in this country.
So I hope the listeners are taking away. First of all, your story, man, is so inspirational. Thanks for sharing that. So inspirational. And I've heard it. This is the third, fourth time I've heard it now, but it never gets old for me. I'm like, let's go. It's like this is good. And I hope what people are taking away from this is that you truly walk your talk, man.